ahead and turn your microphone on.
I want to see how she does those sleeves because I got the dye now.
Well, good morning. It's Tuesday. Kelly's here.
Hi.
And Maggie's here.
Hello.
And I'm Dawn behind the camera. And we are memory bound. Right here. Right here. Okay. Well, Kelly said that yesterday, we launched the Enchanted Autumn yesterday, and Kelly wanted me to explain today that we're showing projects made with the Enchanted Autumn paper line, but it is not, the projects don't have to always be made with this paper line, even though we think it's quite stunning. You can make these projects with any kind of paper line and maybe stuff you have at home in your stash. So we just wanted to make that clear that there's lots and lots of projects forthcoming the next couple weeks, but you can certainly use whatever paper lines you have. And good morning, Steve. Hi, Juanita, Betty, Billy, Crystal, gosh, Gail, thank you all for tuning in. Maggie has some wonderful, wonderful projects. Are you going to start with your Enchanted Autumn project?
I am. But first we're going to take a little walk through the leaves. Doesn't this just make you want to go out in the woods and walk?
I can't believe how real those look.
Yeah, if you found this laying on the forest floor, you'd pick it up.
You would, because you'd think that is very real looking.
And I had to throw a few twigs in there.
Maggie's all about the twigs. All about the twigs. Good morning, Wendy. Look at what else we have here. Some really fun fall projects, and I just can't wait to get started. I know we don't want to rush fall, but fall is just a happy time.
Yes, we do want to rush fall.
Well, for those of you that like the cooler temperatures, they like fall, but I'm all for the heat. Even after spending the day yesterday at the Iowa State Fair, as you can see, my nose is fried.
Did you fill your ABC book?
It's so funny. I took I think 500 pictures yesterday at the fair. So I hope I have all the pictures to fill my ABC book. I can't wait. And so we'll be showing that here as soon as the line comes in, the homegrown line from Simple Stories. But I took pictures.
And did you find things that you hadn't even thought of, like, oh my gosh, that could be, for
yes,
my tea?
We did. My husband was very good helping me, and then I had my oldest daughter and her husband and two little girls. We were all together. We just had the best day. But Maggie, one of the funnest things at the fair, we watched the Frisbee dog show.
Oh,
it was so cute. It was so cute. Those dogs were incredible. So it was a lot of fun at the Iowa State Fair yesterday. And I think everybody signed on, so we can go ahead. Is there anything else that you wanted to say about Enchanted Autumn, Kelly? Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started.
Okay. First I'm going to start out with, for my project for Enchanted Autumn, I created a triptych. It's a set of 3 that are meant to go together, but as I was making them, I wanted to make them be able to stand alone. So each of these could stand alone, or you could display them as a set.
So make all 3, and you've got 3 gifts for your friends.
Yes, and we do have the larger size easels that have come in now, and so they are perfect for these little 6x6 canvases.
How much are those, Kelly?
$4.99.
$4.99, and I think they're 8 inches.
And we have them in black also. I think there's a larger size in black too.
So for those, if you want to do a Halloween little canvas,
The black are $5.99.
$5.99 for the black.
Had to pay someone to paint it, right? Okay, so what I thought I would do is, I'm not going to show you step by step, but I am going to show you the parts of how I put these together, and a little
Hey, Maggie,
yes.
before we go any further, Mary Ann bought this die. So I just want to point out, we're just going to do a little bit of a review before you get started, Maggie.
Sure.
This die is an awesome die. It's called Autumnal Leaves, but now this is a Biggs die. And so that means you need a big shot for this to work in. So Mary Ann, if you bought this and you do not have a big shot, you are welcome to return it. And absolutely. That is no problem. But you do need a big shot, or if you want to buy a big shot, they're an amazing home die cutting system that cuts every die, and you can use any embossing folder on the market in it. It's just a wonderful, wonderful machine.
What's nice about that die is, I don't know whether you can show this, but I'm going to show what I did with these. But can you see the embossed lines?
You can.
You see that?
Yep.
Well, I'm going to show you today how to make them even more pronounced and make them look more real. But this is the size. Maybe this will help to give you a relative.
Yeah, it's really a nice size.
So you get the maple and then you get the oak.
Nice.
And I'm not sure is that a pin oak, or I'm not sure. It's an oak leaf. So what I did is I took the 3 canvases. They're all 6 by 6, but you certainly could do this on a 4 by 6. You could do it on an 8 by 8, whatever size works for you. So what I did is I used Collage Medium Matte to glue this onto the front of the canvas. And I've shown you that before. I just use a collage brush and put it on, and then put this paper. Now this is one of the papers in the Enchanted Autumn line. I call this the cream colored one, but I just love all the variations of the color. Just, you can use, if I were to only use this part, it's an entirely different color than this part.
Exactly.
So I love
That's
that.
what's really
so
fun.
I have got that glued on already, a little pre-work. And
she is using the Enchanted Autumn paper line. And yes, this is exclusive to Memory Bound. It was a collection that Kelly and I made. We got some, what would you say, opinions from our staff throughout the process. And we made it in honor of our 20th anniversary that we're in August. Or that is the collection she's using.
so you've seen me do this process before, but I'm going to do it on the floor here. You just use the sanding tool that we get from Foundations Decor, $1.79. This has been used for probably every project I've shown.
And you've made a lot of projects.
It's still in good shape, yes. Okay, so I just take that sanding tool and I sand along the edges because it removes some of that stuff they prime it with, so that when you ink it, it soaks in a little better. I cut across my corners, and so it doesn't take long with this sanding tool. It's just so quick and easy.
Jane hit the angry emoji by accident.
Oh my gosh!
Don't take it personally, Maggie.
Pay no attention to the angry emoji. Okay, so again, I'm just sanding along those edges to remove some of that primer that they put on there. They gesso it, and that prevents the ink from soaking in, so I just give it a little. So it doesn't take long to do this, and then I kind of go across the surface just a little bit. And if you've done it aggressively enough, your corners should look like this. You should have a nice white edge frame around. So that's how I did that. And then I just used one of my favorite dark browns is Ground Espresso. It's got a little black in it. And so then I just go around and just ink. And see, because I sanded that ink's going to soak into the edge a little better. So just go around and then just ink it like that. Doesn't take long to do that. And if you want it to be quite dark, just keep going until it gets dark enough. And I like to do the corners, get them really dark. Now sometimes I just like the look of the white around it, and so sometimes I just leave it white, but this kind of frames it. So there's your
Beautiful, Maggie.
there's the background. So the one thing I want to show you about this today is I found a not a new product, but new to me. It's Texture Paste Transparent Matte. If you've ever looked at like some of the old master paintings, they're really thick and very textured. Well, that's what they probably did, is they put a medium into their paints. And that gives it that real, then, you know, they put it on with a palette knife and it made it real thick. So today, I'm not painting, but I want to kind of get that look. And if you get really close, you can see where it's just got a lot of texture.
I think it adds a lot.
Yeah, and now on this one, I added it after I put the purple on there, so you can kind of see. It's just, see, and then it kind of melds into your ink and just gives it a really, just a thick textured look. So
It's hard to see on the video, but it really does add a lot. I like it a lot.
So what I did is, this is just like texture paste, only it's going to dry transparent and it's going to be matte. So it's not going to be shiny, and that's what I didn't want shiny. So really, you can have fun with this. I just went like this.
It's like you're frosting.
Yes, and just left that texture. And after, you know, I really didn't know where I was going with this when I first did it. So afterwards, I ended up adding more paper layers. And I was worried that it wouldn't stick on there because of the texture, but it did. It was fine. And it made the paper look like it was a little bumpy. But see, you just kind of leave it on there like that.
Nice.
Maybe this is a little thick. And since we're going to see most of the outside edge, just make sure you've got some on there. So this I did not heat set. This took a little while to dry, so you have to be patient just to let it sit and dry on its own. But when it dries, it's going to be transparent and matte. So you're not even going to see it, but you're going to see the
texture.
Yeah. So I wanted to show you how I did that part of it.
Yeah, isn't that fun?
The other part then is I cut, this is a 6x6 canvas, so I cut, and now this is totally different than the ones I made. I just thought I'd show you a different color scheme. So this, once this is dry, will go on here.
Okay.
And then,
what size is that?
I believe I cut this 5.5 by 5.5.
Okay.
And then I probably cut this 5 by 5 maybe. So these two are going to go on there eventually.
Okay.
And then this is 2.5 by 5. This might be 5 1/4. And then I think I made this up showing a lot of the pieces
So
that I
we'll
used.
post this after the video.
And the reason there's lines here was because I had to come to work to find the purple. And so what I used for the purple berries was this one. It's Violet Galaxy. And then I had to also come to work to find the gold mist spray. So that's the reason those lines are there. When I typed it up, I wasn't quite sure which one I used. Okay.
And did you end up using the
Yes.
Nouveau?
Yes. And that gives you the shimmer. Can you see the shimmery look it gave
Yes.
too?
Yes. That's
That
beautiful.
just riches it up at the end.
I think that was really cool. The Nouveau Mica Mist.
So basically then this is going to go on like this, and I just glued them on with matte, multimedia matte. And then the paper in the kit, the page that has all the cut-aparts, this was just another cut-apart. And so you could make so many of these with that one page. I wanted to show you I made another one. This is just a coaster.
I'm going to pull that paper out. So
And this is one of the cut-aparts. And so I made this from a coaster, and there's our little Duratio twigs. And so that was just fun. So
I love the leaf you put on there. Maggie.
Yeah.
That is so beautiful.
And you might mention you get 2 sheets.
you do.
Okay. Oops, that's wet. So this is the paper that she cut apart, and here's the, let's see, there's the Thankful for a Friend Like You, and there's 2 sheets of this paper in your collection pack.
Can you show them that beautiful green on the other side? Oh my gosh.
That's
beautiful.
Yeah, that it's a pretty green.
So I just wanted to show you how I layered those, and so I just took a half a piece on here, but this is probably the leaf that I would use on here, probably like that. But I wanted to share with you how I did the leaf. So I'm just going to set this here. This is one of the leaves cut out, and as I showed you before, it does emboss the lines of the veins. My first thing was I wasn't paying attention to these, so I, there it is. Yep.
We should probably show that up close. Seems to be a lot of questions. It's transparent. This is the texture paste that she spread on there to give it a matte, textured finish. And it's transparent. It's texture paste, transparent matte, and it is a Ranger product.
It will release your inner Van Gogh. Starry, starry night. All that kind of fun stuff. So my first thing that I thought about doing was just wadding up the leaf and then inking. And normally that's what I do. But actually I found out as I was looking at that, I saw those embossed lines for the veins. So rather than crinkling it up, and you still could just a little bit to give it a little bit of 3D so it's not so perfect, but I just went around with my ground espresso and just did the edges like that. And you can't really overdo that. It just really gives it some depth and makes it look real. I think I'm going to make some of these and throw them out on a little trail.
I think that we can put some candles.
No, I'm going to put it out on a trail and see who picks them up.
Oh my gosh, out on the trail. I thought you said tray.
You could.
I think
it'd be beautiful.
I think them put on a tray with
so
some
that
candles.
in itself is really pretty, but then I noticed the lines. So here's what I did. And this paper works so well, that just the texture of the paper works really well to do this. So I just took it and folded right on those crease lines like that, and then inked. And now all of a sudden you've got this real leaf, real looking leaf. So I just played with it and just kept doing those lines. There's so many of them, and I didn't do every single one. I love this die.
It really is a good one.
You know, I always say you can't have too many leaf dies. You can't have too many snowflake dies. Leaf dies. Oh my gosh.
Or trees.
Yes.
I like trees too.
Okay, look at that.
Here's what she's turning it into. Your leaves are beautiful, Maggie.
Now see, this one I probably scrunched it up and didn't realize that the lines were there, so there are some different lines, but I went back in then and realized that, oh my gosh, this is so much more real looking. But there's a lot of lines in there, and this paper just folds on it so nicely. And it doesn't have to be perfect. But someone really went to some detail. They studied their leaves when they
built the die.
Designed that. But this, and you know what? If it doesn't fold exactly on there, make a line up. Let's see.
And this, I think for what you're doing, where you're just putting like 2 leaves on this project, I just think the time that it takes to do that is worth it because they look so real looking.
I agree.
I really like that.
And then, like I said, don't be afraid to scrunch up. I'm just going to do a couple more. And again, I didn't do every single one. Although you could. Isn't that just beautiful?
Mm-hmm.
But then just kind of scrunch it up. Don't be afraid to add a little darkness, more darkness, maybe even just across the surface a little bit. But look at that. Isn't that beautiful?
Stunning. Absolutely.
And so that die is amazing. But I wanted to move on.
The die that she's talking about is the autumnal leaves. It's a Sizzix Bigs, so that means it's the thicker one. So you can cut chipboard out of this, a couple layers of cardstock at a time. And it's $19.99, and it is called Autumnal Leaves. And it does do the cutting and also the, well, I don't know, score lines, I guess you would say. It puts the, what do you call them, Maggie? It puts the little lines.
The veins.
The veins. Mm-hmm. The veins of the leaves are like embossed in there.
But oh my gosh, I just loved it. And you can do it there. All those colors in that Enchanted Autumn line just lend themselves to the most beautiful
Perfect leaves.
But one more step I forgot to show you is we have to splatter them. So I'm going to show you a very quick way to splatter.
I was wondering. Oh my gosh, because I looked at that and I'm like, I didn't remember the paper having that on there.
Yes, so I
Oh
just
my gosh.
smushed, remember our smushed? Turned upside down, press it into your craft mat.
All right.
Got to unlock the water mister. And what I like to do is I don't mist the whole thing. I leave part of it a little bit more misted, part of it not. But I'm going to show you. You can use a splatter brush, but if you don't have a splatter brush, you just take your paintbrush and you go like this.
Oh my gosh, Maggie, that adds so much.
It just makes it so much more real.
Because real leaves do have those little pits in them.
And there we go.
Oh my gosh.
And then because this is his ink, it dries a little bit less pronounced than if you were to use paint. So
Yeah.
that's how I made the splatters. Very easy. Just use the paintbrush you have in your hand or have around.
And so like here's one that's been splattered. Oh.
Did I splatter you?
Oh. No, I think I put my hand. Oh, here we go. I'm all texture paste on my nice black pants. Oh well. Hopefully it'll
Okay.
wash out.
The only other thing I wanted to show you on this part is this is the die that comes in with your
Kit.
Enchanted Autumn paper pack. I cut 2 because I wanted it to be a little more full, and I think that if I were doing it again, I might even cut 3. But what I like to do is I just, again, ink them a little bit. I lots of times just hold them in my hand like this.
But that's pretty delicate.
Yeah.
That one you
so you
wanna
kind of
be
want to
careful with.
hold where you're inking close. And again, see the variations? You've got your dark green and your light green. Can you see that? Depending on which part of the paper you cut. So I just went around and did that. And then what I did do is I just, like this, squished them, and it didn't have to be every one. Squished them together so that they kind of didn't lay flat. And then I just put 2 together, and you can offset them just a little bit so that it's not matchy. And that's how I put that on there. And then I just used tiny pieces of foam pop dots, but I cut them into like half so that they would be hidden back there. But that's how you did that.
Beautiful.
And then the little twine, I just poked a tiny hole into the leaf, and then that's how I tied that twine on
Into
there.
the leaf or to the verbiage?
Into the actual leaf, and probably the verbiage too, yeah. I punched a tiny hole. I have a little tiny hole punch that I punched here and into the leaf, and so that way I could tie it right onto the leaf.
Oh, that's cool.
And so basically,
Now, do you have foam dots under your leaf to make it pop out?
I do. I try never to glue all those things flat. I like them kind of sticking up. And you don't need very many, because see how I just put a couple in the middle because I wanted it to stand up, and then I kind of
to
scrunched
look like
it
it's
forward.
flying off.
Yeah. So, but look at the different color schemes. Like these were done because it was going to be a set. I made them all the same cream. But this one I put cream, but then I also put the purple. So I made lots of layers. And you could just keep adding layers to see what the colors, that go together that you like.
It's awesome, Maggie. I love your projects.
I just love something like this because it makes such a nice little gift. I think this little, and then I did cover the back. I like covering the back
Yes.
With just craft paper. Glue it on, and then I sand around the edges so it looks like it was part of it.
And these are just canvas panels that we have.
They're like $2.99, so they make just such a nice little gift to give to a hostess. Or I thought with this one, I thought this would be fun if you wanted to invite some friends over and have a little lunch and have one of these sitting at every
Yes.
place. And these are $3.99 for this size.
The black 6-inch easel.
And these coasters are 50 cents, so you don't have a lot invested in
Makes a
them.
pretty inexpensive little gift.
Yeah.
Love it.
Love that one. Okay, so anyway, well, I wanted to share with you with this, but we have another project I wanted to share with you too. We have a new kit out. It's called It's All About the Fall. Yes.
We've got a couple questions
Sure.
before we move on. So Maggie used the collage medium mat to glue the paper to her mat. And then if you're just tuning in, then she wanted it to also have some texture. So she used the texture paste transparent mat, and that's what she just put on with a palette knife over top. And this dries clear, it dries matte, but all it did was give your mat some texture, and that's like that right there. You'll see that. And then she also sprayed her canvas when she was all done with gold mica spray, and she used the Nouveau gold mica spray. But any gold mica spray would do.
Spray everything, every project, I would spray it with gold. I love that. It just makes it very rich looking, and it doesn't overpower it. Like if you look at that, you don't see gold, but if you start moving it around, you'll see a few gold flecks, and then the mist kind of just makes it shimmer.
Love it. It looks more finished with the back. Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's just a 6x6 piece of craft paper, so you can get 4 out of a piece. And I think what makes it finished too is that then you just sand it down so it doesn't look like it's just glued to the back.
Oh, that's a good idea. I don't do that.
Yeah,
that's a great idea.
It just really makes it look finished.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
But wait, Maggie has another project.
Yeah, since we were talking about fall, I thought I would show you. This is a new kit that we just put out. It's called It's All About the Fall. And we have an IO stamp. That is the stamp. And so what I did is I took a 4x6 piece of
It's $7.99.
pattern paper. One of my favorite pattern paper, is it Bo Bunny? Is that what it is? It's just got script in the back, and actually it's got more roses, but when you cut it apart like this, you don't notice that it's roses. You just get that texture in the back. So I used that stamp and stamped on a 4x6. And so then what, in your kit, you will get a pre-stamped panel like this. So you don't have to stamp it yourself. It's already done. But in the kit, what I wanted to do was I wanted to take that.
Let's show the finished project. Here's
yeah,
the finished
that's what we should
project. This is what your kit will make.
Isn't it just pretty?
It's adorable. I just love it.
So this is the Tim Holtz frame set, and in this set you get 2. So when you make one, you can make 2 of these. They're $11.99 for 2 frames. They're really nice wood frames, and they come with a back panel like this, which is just the pressed wood, and then the frame. And so what I did is I glued that on, and you center it, and then you're going to use, and I use matte medium for this and a clamp, and then I just glued that on there like that. What I did with this one is I painted it with black acrylic paint, and we just got some really cool black paint in.
Oh, yes.
Oh my gosh, I would buy it just for the tube.
Well, it's creamy. We've used this in classes here recently, and so it was so awesome, so we just brought it in. It's creamy acrylic paint from Sizzix. It's $4.99, and it comes in, I think we have 12 colors, and we actually used it on cards with spatulas. That's how creamy that is. It just went on beautifully. Oh, and don't forget, it comes in gold metallic and silver metallic and rose gold metallic, and those are all available.
And I brought that out because I wanted to share something with you about that. But when you go to paint this frame, I like to just kind of sand it a little bit, very lightly, you know, just again to remove that little bit of surface that they put on there, and that helps the paint. But when I paint it, I just put a little bit of paint on my craft mat, and I mist it a little bit so it's not quite so thick. I want it to look more like a stain than a paint.
Oh, that's a good tip.
Anyway, so you paint them first, paint all your pieces first, and then I'm gonna put that there. Then you center this on here, and I just used matte medium, and then you will eventually then put that together like that. These frames are so cute. I just love them.
So did you paint this before you put it? Watercolor
Actually, I glued it on first and let it dry, and then I painted it, but I think I would suggest that you paint this first. Not that it mattered, it worked fine, but I wanted to share with you how I just painted this, and then I'm going to show you how I made the scarecrow.
But then Maggie, also, I guess, getting back to the frame, so you painted it black, and then did you sand like those ridges?
Yeah, let's go back to that.
Okay.
I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, so once, this is important, once the frame is dry, and you don't even have to have it glued on there or anything, we're just working with the front here. Once the paint is dry, and you want to make sure that it's dry because I rushed it a little bit, and the paint had kind of absorbed into here and it was a little bit damp, and so when I went to sand it, it kind of roughed it up. You can see that right here. So I would suggest that you paint it and really dry it and let it dry before you go to the next step. So pretend like I've got this painted black.
All right.
And then you're going to take your sanding tool, and this is all black. You're going to sand across the surface of those ridges. And just sand it until the paint is removed just on the ridges.
Okay.
Okay. Then what I used was, this is Sizzix, is it gold?
Gold luster wax.
Gold luster wax. This stuff is amazing. But what I wanted to share with you is I could have also used this rose gold. Wouldn't that have been pretty?
The rose gold would have been gorgeous. Yeah. Wow.
So you can use rose gold or gold, but what I was thinking is, let's just say you couldn't find your luster wax. Well, I think you could maybe use this gold paint and just put it on your finger and rub it too.
Oh, that's a great idea.
This luster wax is amazing stuff. So I'm going to show you how I did that. Once I sanded those ridges, you just, it's like shoe polish. Okay, so see how much I have on my finger? Too much, so tap it off like that. Then you just rub it across those ridges like that. Like that.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's so easy, and I barely used any.
I think this rose gold would be just so rich on it.
Show,
I like the gold, but I think the rose gold would be
let's
super
show that
rich.
Color. Here's what we can do. Let's show this.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what that would look like. See, that would be even, oh my gosh, that'd be beautiful.
Stunning.
That would look really pretty on there. It's kind of a coppery more than it is rose gold.
And it would bring out the color in the scarecrow.
So this luster wax, you will have this for 20 years because you hardly use any. And you know what I was just thinking? What would happen if you did this? Just for the fun of it.
Ooh.
What would happen if you, and again, tap it off. You could do this and make that leaf have some golds. Wouldn't that be pretty?
Oh my.
And you just rub it in, and if you think it's too much, just rub it off a little bit. Once it's on there, though,
it stays?
Yeah.
Oh,
Isn't
gosh,
that
that's
pretty?
gorgeous.
You could do that, too.
All right. And Maggie, before we go on, Karen has a question. She wants to know why you use the matte medium and not other glues like Nouveau glue.
Well, matte medium is like, it's like this. And so you can take a brush and you can cover major areas with this. Plus, it's
a paper on paper or a paper and surface adhesive.
Now, I'm not going to lie to you. If I was out of this and it was midnight one night, I have been known to take my Nouveau glue for a small piece like this, put it on there, rub it around, but it's hard to get a big, large area to stay wet enough so that by the time you put your papers together, where this you can brush on with a paintbrush. So yes, you could, but this area right here, I would have had to use a lot of glue and try to keep it wet by the time I get it on there. But I have been known to do this when I ran out. So
I have never done that. And thank goodness, because I've had this, but the collage medium and the multi-medium matte are specifically for paper to paper or paper to like surface.
And you don't end up with little places that, like if this, you really have to spread it out with your finger, because otherwise you're going to end up with just parts of it, and you really have to spread it out. So
Yeah.
it works in a pinch, but this is artist quality, and this is what I would highly recommend for gluing any paper on any large surface. And I use this also to glue my frame together.
Cool.
And I would suggest using a couple clamps too when you go to glue that. Okay, I wanted to share with you then how we painted this. And you can use a water brush, or you could use just a small paintbrush. I kind of like small paintbrushes with little points, but I think I wrote on the back of this one what colors I used, and it is listed on your kit. The sunflowers are fossilized amber, and I just used my regular distress inks, but you certainly could use your oxides. But remember, because you're misting that oxide, it is going to cause it to oxidize, so it's going to get a little more chalky. So again, just spray part of it, because then you can get more concentrated over here. But the sunflowers, I just smushed my ink onto the mat, added a little water, and then just color in. And it's so easy. Look at how quickly.
Yeah, good job, Maggie.
There.
That's it.
And then after it dries, I like to go in with a little bit less diluted, and go in and add some darker areas to give it a little bit of depth like that, so it doesn't look quite so perfect. But that's how I did the sunflowers. And then I used my favorite green peeled paint, and this is all listed in the kit, but you know what, you can use any color you want.
Whatever gold, whatever green you have, absolutely.
So again, sometimes I don't even mist it. If I want it to be a little bit more concentrated, I just use my wet brush. Don't use a lot of water on these, because it's so
then
little.
It gets too diluted.
Yeah. But see how quickly you can color those?
Beautiful.
And again, once it's dry, I go in and add a little bit of shadowing. And then the fall and all, I think, was carved pumpkin. But all of those are listed in the kit. So once you have done this, you'll dry it, and then you will just adhere it to your panel by centering it like that. And then you'll make your frame, you'll put it on there. But I'm hurrying because I want to show you the
scarecrow is her favorite thing. And while she's getting that out, I'm still admiring this. This is the leaf that she added the gold luster wax to. It is.
Isn't that pretty?
It is stunning. Wow. That's
That
really
gold luster wax can show up in a lot of places. Okay, in your kit, just so that you know what's in your kit, you're going to get the frame. You're going to get the frame, you're going to get the pre-stamped paper, and you're going to get a little package of all the scarecrow pieces, and they are cut out of watercolor paper. And I like painting with watercolor paper. It absorbs it a little better. I cut yours so that your pieces are cut from the smooth side. I want to share with you, be very, very careful. Make sure you have like a little plate or a mat to empty this onto, because I'm going to show you this tiny, tiny little piece that you... Okay, some of them we were able to give it to you like this. Some of them, these pieces came out. So see that little tiny nose? Don't lose it. You might have to cut it out of another little piece. But these are the pieces you get. This is an Elizabeth Craft die. And we are out of those at the moment, but
they've been reordered.
Yes, they are coming in. So I wanted to share, this is my favorite thing to do. I just love doing this. So I started out, and I do have a list of how I did it. Let's see here. I used,
the kit is $12.99. $12.99, and it includes the frame and, as Maggie mentioned, all the pieces. So it's a great value, just a wonderful value for making your
He is so cute. And on
fall
the
decor.
on the front of the, I thought I had the die here. I have my own die. On the front, he looks more Halloween, and I didn't want him to look Halloween, so I used more browns and greens on him and didn't make him look like a Halloween scarecrow. So I used gathered twigs. You certainly could use ground espresso if you wanted it darker, but here's our smooshing technique. Press it down, use your mister, and again, I try to kind of leave a little part that's not, and on these you really kind of want to mist quite a bit. Okay, so here's our little shirt, and you just lay it in there like that. Do not swirl it around, just lift him up. Okay, now that doesn't look like much, but when you let that dry, see the variations, and you get, I have a dryer here.
Is our heat tool all plugged in, ready to go?
Okay, so that's our first layer, but you want those variations. You don't want it to be all one color, and that's the reason we don't swirl it around. We pick it up. And see those puddles?
That's going to
Puddles
dry
are
dark.
good. Yes, puddles are good. Leave those puddles.
We
But
might have
see,
to
isn't
move
that
this,
cool?
Maggie. I have put my hand in this
Yeah,
a dozen times. I'm going to move her little
Is it drying?
canvas here.
Okay, so but look at this. It already looks like a raggedy old shirt for this scarecrow. Okay, so now we're going to move it over here. We're a little bit less diluted. Again, do not swirl it around. Just look at that. Oh my gosh. Love that. And then that's kind of what I do is that. And then dry. And the less concentrated, the more you're going to get this.
She's trying to make this.
But look at that. Doesn't that look cool?
Amazing.
And let's say that you don't like that, where you feel like it's a little bit too concentrated. Look at that. Just wet it. And then you can,
That's a great tip.
yeah.
That's happened to me before, and I didn't know what to do about it. So thank you, Maggie. That is a wonderful tip.
But doesn't that look just like a raggedy old scarecrow?
Yes, it does.
And then I just take my ground espresso, because I like how dark it is, and then just ink around the edges. And there's his shirt. Isn't that cool?
The scarecrow's dies. Okay, Kelly just stopped back and said the scarecrow dies have shipped to us, so they should be here. It's only from Colorado, so it's usually only a couple days ship.
Isn't that fun? Look at that. I just love that look. Okay,
Giving
so
lots of hearts.
let's do the pumpkin head. I used carved pumpkin.
And did you splatter the pumpkin head? It looks like.
I think when I got done, I splattered him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It looks like
just-
you maybe splattered everything. Oh my gosh.
I splattered him before I put him on there.
Okay.
So I didn't want this splattered.
What she's referring to is she didn't want the sheet splattered.
So I splattered the scarecrow before I glued him on.
Okay, good to know.
Okay, so we're just going to lay it on there. Again, a lighter look. See how that's puddled down there? It's perfect. I love that look.
Gosh, it looks so watercolored, just like that.
Yeah. Okay, so, you could leave it like that, or you could do it again. And leave those puddles, because that's how you're going to get your depth. And there's your pumpkin head. Look at this. It's so watercolory. And then the hat, I think I used ground espresso also. When I did the hands and the pole, I wanted it to be lighter. So I used brushed corduroy. And I really diluted it, because I just wanted it to be a lot lighter than this brown. So just
Wendy says she wants to. She thinks she needs the scarecrow dye because Make
Love
him
it.
for other projects.
Yes.
Yeah, he's cute.
Okay, so there, and then once that gets dry, then we can ink it. So that's all the color you want on the hands. You could make up these so quickly, but like, then once it's inked, it just looks more, see, like that. Isn't that cool?
Yes.
So there's his arms. And then this is his pole. This is his brim. And these are the patches, so you can color those any color you want. These are his little curlicues that come out of his hair, his head for his hair. I colored those green, I believe, with the peeled paint.
I didn't even notice those curly
Aren't
things
those
coming out.
cute?
Yes, they are.
Those things poke out, so you have to poke those out. But look at that, isn't that cute? And then this, if you're lucky enough, this came in one little pack. But if not, you have to be really careful because these are 4 different pieces. I did this in black soot. And then this is his pole.
Okay.
Now I'm going to share with you though.
Pole meaning
The
that
pole,
right there.
yeah. And then what I did is once I glued on his patch, then I just took a black marker, permanent marker, and put some stitches around it.
I love that.
And then
adds a
remember
lot.
how I showed you to splatter? You can just put the scarecrow together. His head fits up inside, there's a slit there. And then you just splatter a little bit with some, I probably either used ground espresso or some black soot. And it
Very
doesn't
nice.
take much. But what I wanted to share with you is I wanted to come up with another way to use Enchanted Autumn. So yesterday I thought, well, why couldn't I punch out the scarecrow out of our Enchanted Autumn papers? This is cut out from the plain colors of our Enchanted Autumn.
I like the buckle you added to the.
Well, you know, that's funny because the buckle did come with it, and my original kit, I didn't use it. So I apologize, you won't get the buckle in there. But it was laying on the table, and I thought, we'll stick it on there. But you
He
could
looks
easily,
fine without the buckle.
yeah,
He
you
looks
could
fine.
easily make a buckle and glue it on
I
there.
guess let's look at them side by
But
side.
look at that.
Yeah, that looks really
So if
good.
you didn't want to do watercolor and you have the Enchanted Autumn paper pack, you could cut him out just like that.
Yep, very good.
Yeah, so another way to use Enchanted Autumn. But this kit then has, again, the frame. It has the pre-printed, pre-stamped message on pattern paper, and then you get the little package of all the pieces, and you'll have so much fun watercoloring them because there will be no 2 alike.
And those kits you'll find online under kits, and they are $12.99. And Maggie, let's see. Somebody wants to know. Michelle wants to know, what is a good white paper to use for die cutting and inking? Is that your watercolor paper that you like?
I tend to. This is what I use, and you get 10 sheets for $7.99. And when I made these kits, I got 3 scarecrow out of a sheet of paper, and I love this. If I'm going to take the time to watercolor and ink, this is what I want to use.
It's 79 cents a sheet. Regular 8.5 by 11 cardstock's 59 cents a sheet.
Yeah.
It's well worth the 20
well worth
cents.
it. And one
Yes.
side is a little more textured. I tend, if I'm going to do some smooshing and some inking, I use the smooth side. It stamps much better. If you're going to stamp, like if I wanted to stamp this saying, this one right here, I would use the smooth side because it stamps so much nicer on there.
Yeah.
But if you like the textured look, that's fine too. But this is, I can't get enough of this. I keep buying packages of it because this is my favorite.
Okay, Beth. Beth wants to know, did you ink with a brush or did you do the smooshing for the entire scarecrow?
I did smooshing for the entire scarecrow.
There you go.
Yep, it was
All
totally
right.
smooshed.
And let's see. I'm trying to look for other questions.
On the kit, I did list all the colors I used, and I apologize. I forgot the purple. So I believe the purple was Dusty Concord.
And where did you use the purple?
I used it,
I don't think you used purple on that
Well,
one.
that's why I didn't.
Yeah, that's why you didn't
Okay,
lose it.
I was looking at this today and I thought, oh my gosh, I forgot to tell him the purple, but this is the Enchanted Autumn.
Yes.
So I didn't use the purple, but if I did, it would have been Dusty Concord.
Very funny. The name of this stamp set is It's All About the Fall. It's All About the Fall. It's $7.99. Okay.
And then Dawn, do you want to show your little coaster?
Well, and then we have another little coaster kit that's ready to go today. This kit is $6.99, and you're going to find it online under kits. And it too includes the coaster. It includes all the papers. It includes the die cut maple leaf and the paper in your, it has been stamped. I'm so glad I live in a world with Octobers. And that is, the kit is $6.99, and that too is just exactly colored the exact same way that Maggie just colored hers with, well, I used a water brush instead of a paintbrush, but I smooshed the ink on my craft mat, picked it up, and then colored. I used peeled paint and carved pumpkin to color my pumpkins. And again, as she mentioned, if you let some dry and then go over it again, you'll get some variations in your color. I did spray my maple leaf and then squinch it up and then pull it out and then inked it. But I like Maggie's techniques that she used for her leaf. And I think I would take a little bit of gold spray and spray on the leaf, I thought, or rub some of the
oh, you could do that.
the rose gold texture, or rose gold
Luster wax.
luster wax. Thank you on that. So those kits are ready, and they are $6.99.
And if you like that stamp, we do have lots of those to
And
choose
that
from.
stamp is
so easy to color and be
It's
done.
called I'm So Glad I Live in a World with Octobers, and that too is $7.99. So
And
very
if you
good.
like putting things in frames, this is a great set. You get two, and two for $11.99, and you can paint them any color. I have even taken ink and just stained it with my
Yes, you
ink.
did, and that's a good looking frame.
You can
I
do
like when
that
you
too.
And the leaves are a die. It's called a Tumwell Leaves. It's a Sizzix Biggs die is what these are made. And you can kind of see on the picture, but it does do that embossing of the leaf veins in there also. And the die is $19.99.
See, I just wanted to share, this is starting to dry, and it will dry completely matte and completely see-through. You will not see any of this white stuff.
Yeah, it's starting to dry pretty well.
It just, I don't know, it's just a real rich look, I think.
I love it.
Okay, anything else? Any questions?
I think that is it. So thank you everybody for tuning in today. What we did today, if you weren't here at the beginning, is Maggie went through the steps on making her Enchanted Autumn triptych, which is these 3 canvas panels that she decorated, and she showed us the techniques. And then she did use, I guess what we should probably mention again, she used the Violet Galaxy Nouveau drops to add the berries to her wreath. And that just added so much, Maggie. I love, love, love that.
Yeah, I love the purple, because I tried gold and I didn't like it, and then once I put that purple on there, it was just beautiful.
Makes it stunning. And then she also released a kit today called It's All About the Fall, and that is this scarecrow canvas, and Maggie walked us through how to do the frame and how to build the scarecrow that is included in the kit. Her kit is $12.99. And then we also have another kit, I'm So Glad I Live in a World with Octobers, and that kit is $6.99. And those are online under kits. So thank you very, very much, Maggie.
Thank
I absolutely
you.
love, love, love these canvases.
I could just make these all day. I could just sit and just keep cutting more paper, because you get so much in that paper pack. And so you could just make up a lot of different colored layers. And the
different
leaves,
color
we could make
combinations.
a forest of leaves.
Yes.
And I'm loving that gold luster wax
I
on
do
that
too,
leaf.
Maggie. Here's one
was an
without it.
afterthought.
Yeah, that was purely a happy accident. So here's one without, and here's one with. Love it, love it, love it.
You know,
And then-
that's the beauty of having stuff laying out you just go, oh, what if, and so I like that.
Yes, the edges of this coaster have been sanded like Maggie just showed earlier in her video, and then inked. And I used gathered twigs on this one, and that is included in the instructions. You do get instructions with both of those kits. Okay, I think that answers everybody's questions. Again,
fun.
it's made with the Enchanted Autumn collection. This is our whole series. We're on day 2 of using the Enchanted Autumn collection that Kelly and I put together for celebrating Memory Bound's 20th anniversary. All right, have a great day, and we are open today until 7 p.m. and we'll be back tomorrow at 9:30. Have a great day.